Flow Out podcast. And we got our first guest, and this is amazing. I've been so excited to have Dr. Tracy Norwood, Dr. Taz on the episode. I'm so excited because he's got an amazing resume and he's got an amazing story to tell you guys as well too. So reminder what Flow in, Flow Out. We're going to be on YouTube and Spotify and releasing once a week now instead of two. But Danny has a podcast himself. It's called Just Be Humans. He'll be promoting it and I'll be promoting it as well too. So we got two separate podcasts coming on, but we're going to still continue with Flow In, Flow Out. And we got a wonderful guest. Let me give you a brief introduction with this amazing man. So Dr. Tracy Norwood is 47 years old, and he's where I met him was our two bodybuilding competitions ago. I competed in the OCB Richmond competition, and he won that competition and went on to win two of the Yorton Cup Classic Physique Championship. And besides that, he has 3 kids. He has a fur baby. He is a family nurse practitioner with Doctor of Nursing practice degree. He is owner of Wellness Classic Fitness LLC, an online fitness coaching service that focuses on natural weight loss and competition prep. And he's a digital marketer just like me. He loves bike riding with his family. He loves spending time with his family and giving back to the community. And he frequently speaks to men about community events regarding health topics. And he's an advocate for meditation, mindfulness, and stoicism. And he's a lover of life. What an amazing resume. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be on with you this morning.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm so excited to have you. It really amazing resume, and that was all the technical stuff that I wanted to get you on here and really pick your brain about like your journey and everything. Yeah, like I followed you. You had like a transformation. It looked like you started off almost like I saw your before picture, and I was like, it looked like David Goggins before David Goggins. So tell us a little bit about your resume, fill us in on what I missed out, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, so you pretty much covered all the big points. I've always loved to be engaged in athletics. It just kind of, gave me a lot of structure, kept me focused, and, put me around some really amazing people across the span of my life. I'm coming from a real small town, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and just trying to stay busy, staying out of trouble, and, landing in Winston-Salem. In like 96. So I went to Winston-Salem State University, and that's where I played a real short amount of football there and became a dad. And my dad told me immediately, hey, you're a man now, got to go to work. So really got into the books and really enjoyed the structure and everything that college provided. Mm-hmm. So after college is when the weight gain started, because not having that structure, having a whole life of structure, people kind of telling you what to do, where to be, when to eat, when to train, when to go to class, and then out of school and it's just all, just life. I found myself going to the gym, trying to keep that regimen up, but was not really on point with the nutrition and looked up, and I was a really big guy, still going to the gym, but was just, a big guy. Yeah.
What, everybody kind of has that journey where you kind of like start off a little bit and just like work out regularly, and not really push towards any like goals or like direction or anything. So it seems like you had a little bit of a time period. I've had something like that too, where I didn't have really like structure. It was like 3 or 4 times in a week, and then I got real serious about bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. Did you hire like a nutritionist or a coach to kind of like really like get you like structured? Is that what happened, or did you do it yourself, or do you research your own?
Getting into bodybuilding. So as I started getting more into the nutritional aspect, I had a real straightforward conversation with my physician at the time. And, initially it was just me, having a base of knowledge through healthcare, doing a lot of it on my own. And, just kind of one day I was in the gym and a gentleman asked me if I ever thought about competing. And I said, no, not really. Never thought about it. Because, I was into, motorcycles and all that stuff at the time. So at the age of 40 is when I decided to get on stage. And that's when I hired my first coach. So I hired a coach. He was out in Atlanta, and we did everything online. So he really helped me to learn the process of dialing in the nutrition and really triggered, that path for me, so to speak. So I went on to study and get certified in nutrition and, personal training, bodybuilding coach, all that good stuff over the last, 5 to 6 years. So to answer your question, yes. Once I got really serious about it, wanting to hit the stage, I hired a coach and actually really dug deep into the research and just went from there.
I love it. I think it's very similar in my story as well too. Like I've always been seeking discipline. For me, like I played sports. That's where actually I found a lot of my personal development. Trying out different sports. I wrestled. I played football.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then I always sought discipline. I didn't always have the tight framework that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
Like 8 years ago, that's when I started as well to start competing and having a coach. This was the first time where I could actually afford a coach, and the level of progress and the level of direction that you had working with somebody that's holding you accountable, that you have to report to. It's a whole different level.
Right.
Discipline as well too.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat. So the 7 years that you were competing, you rose to the top very quick. So you had a lot of good genetics, and then what was that success? I mean, what is that being you're the original classic physique champion in the Jordan Cup? That's the natty body, you're Chris Bumstead, right? Or
Thank you.
You're Breon, or you Breon.
Yeah. That has been a really great experience, met a lot of great people. But I never felt like this. I never really got the big head about it because, like I said, I've always been into sports and, not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but, I always did really well. I wrestled also. I set some of our high school records and just kind of had the most pins of the year. I had 100 pins in a year and stuff like that. So I've always tried to be, as top tier as possible. Right. And getting into this, it was just okay, I already love the competitiveness. I love pushing myself. So when I got into it, and it was just kind of I got my momentum going. Yeah. I just felt unstoppable for a while, and then once you get there, you want to do it again and again, and life starts.
It's a powerful feeling when you.
Yeah, it is.
When I'm going through prep, it's almost wow. I feel like a completely different human person. Mm-hmm. Seeing those changes that you're doing inside and out and everything. I mean, so tell me, you're not just genetically gifted. There was some hard work and discipline that was involved in it too, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. You didn't just, hey, I'm good, and then you started lifting weights and hired a coach and became the champion.
No, I did a lot of research, like you mentioned, Chris Bumstead, Breon Ansley. I looked at a lot of their content. I looked at a lot of the bodybuilder workouts, and wow. I just got in there, and it was real fun to study the posing aspect of it, and then go into the gym. You've probably seen me. I'm in the gym. I'm posing at 4:00 in the morning, and just really loving the process. And the more I dug into the history of bodybuilding and seeing how the physiques and the criteria has changed over the years, it just became a little bit of an obsession. And I had to be careful with that because when you're on prep, you do feel like like, man, I am doing this, monumental thing, and you kind of block everything out, and you get that, like I was saying earlier, that momentum, but you start to forget about other things that's going on. So that's why I say you always have to be very, very careful when you're in that process. But that's how I did it. I just really became a student of the game, so to speak, and studied some of the greats, and I really dialed into Chris. I'm not Chris Bumstead, but Breon. I really liked his style, and by him being a little bit older, there was another guy like AJ. I forget his last name, but he hit the stage the first time at 40 years old. So I kind of looked at the older guys in the game, and I studied and listened to them, because a lot of guys think when you get into bodybuilding, the first thing you need to do is go into the gym and just start lifting heavy. And these guys later in their careers, they'd say, I was doing that earlier, but then I found out that I didn't have to do that. So I kind of started at the point like, okay, well, I'm just going to really dial in on muscular development and targeting so weak points and bringing things up, instead of just going to the gym and blowing out my knees because I'm trying to PR every time,
Yeah, I mean, bodybuilding is a very when I talk and tell people about it, it's very meticulous sport. It's very detailed, and it's something that it's for me, it's like a practice of like personal development, more personal development than just like muscles and like posing and stuff. And the other day I was at the gym and just thinking about, like, I've been in the game for long, and I don't think I'm a great athlete at all. Like,
yes, you are.
I don't think I'm a great athlete. I think I'm just okay to suck for a long time and be in the grind. Like, I've been bodybuilding, so I'm 38 years old. I've been bodybuilding since, not bodybuilding, but like competitively, about 8 years now. I'm not a professional yet, but I'm still, every time I get close to like a competition, I just like, something's a little off in my diet, like stress or something. And I just don't, there's one competition, I just came in like crispy, right? So I'm trying to bring that crispy level and like that fullness level.
Right.
But I got a really good coach for this prep. So I am going to be competing again in October, which part of this podcast is like, kind of documenting the whole journey. I think are you still competing too? Or have you?
I'm undecided.
I'm gonna pick some more. I'm gonna ask more. I met the guy that I think, because you got second on your last competition, right? Or
I got third the last two Jordans.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, since like now we're in the natural like bodybuilding. Like, this is kind of like a very niche market. It's not very like open, because everybody follows like open bodybuilding, with the steroids and the gear and everything. But we're in a different world, and I think it's like a little smaller. So I'm in it, and I know some of the athletes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wanted to tell you, like, for me, it's like I don't think I'm ever like a great athlete, but I think I'm more of in the process of me trying to be a good athlete, I became a great coach. I think I'm a better coach than I am a better athlete. I can get in there and do the grind and everything, but I don't think I have that, like natural like gift of like being an athlete. Because I never, like, any sport that I played, football, wrestling, and anything, I sucked everything. but I think part of this podcast is to say, like, yeah, it's okay to suck at things. Eventually, the repetition that I put in the gym, because like I've been doing it since 16, is like repetition, and that has really paid off a lot into like my life,
Right.
business, and like my fitness, and like my personal development and everything. But I think talking about like what we're really trying to get is a lot of people to understand how the art of bodybuilding can affect other areas of your life. So you had like, you mentioned a little bit about like being focused, and you're a family man as well too, and when you got a pretty intense career. You're a family nurse. I'm not sure how intense it is, but balancing that and like how bodybuilding has affect like all those other areas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So bodybuilding, I say bodybuilding is like water, because if there's a crack in something, it'll find it, bodybuilding put a lot of strain on the family. The first 2 years was the toughest. We had some really big issues, just to be quite honest. We had some really big issues with bodybuilding because we were not used to the mood swings. We were not used to having to pull back on so much because the kids, they want to go out and do normal stuff. The wife want to go out and do normal stuff, but you're like, I have to train. I have to eat this. I have to do my cardio. So you're kind of like this monster that everyone's kind of working around in the house. Yeah. And, when you first get into bodybuilding, some people like to do this string of shows. And I know organizations don't like to hear it, but doing multiple shows is okay for like the younger guys or gals without kids, responsibilities and different things like that at an intense level. Because once you have that core, they're depending on you, especially as the man of the family, they're depending on you, and you're so locked in because you don't want to just get on stage and say, hey, I'm just happy to be here all the time. You train to win, and the repetition, as you stated, is necessary. You have to get used to doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. So, yeah, and as far as the family, like I said, they want to go out and just do normal stuff, and you're grumpy because you can't really do it and be like that monster on stage that you want to be. And then being a family nurse practitioner, you're dealing with the public, and you're listening to people's concerns, and you're trying to develop treatment plans. You're trying to bring everything in for them, helping them, talking to them about their nutrition, their exercise. You're manipulating medications, and you're trying to pull back on medications, because with me, I'm always, bugging my patients about eating better and being more active, and trying to be at the least the lowest and most effective dose of anything that I prescribe. I don't want to just say, okay, you're not doing this, I'm just going to run up the dose. So being really into your patients, that's emotionally draining. And when you're in prep and your brain is on this other stuff, you have to really lock in, and in that capacity, then you have to lock in over here. So it's kind of like you're having to morph into so many things. And then plus, in healthcare, there's always a new certification. There's always a CME. There's always a training. So, it's really demanding there. And trying to do multiple shows and have growing kids, and, they're involved in their sports. You don't want to take away from their experience. So it gets really, really tight. And I said that, a couple of years back on a podcast with a couple of OCB pros, Chaz, and I told him, I said, it's like life starts to close in on you, and that's just been the experience, and it really hit hard. Just to be completely honest, it hit hard. It caused relationship problems. So you have to go deep and dark in prep. And just doing that multiple times throughout the year is sometimes not the best thing, and I'm just real with it. And like I said, I know organizations, they want you to do competitions, here, there, everywhere. But when you just look at it, it's really a tough sport. It's a beautiful sport, but it's tough, man. It will find a crack in something.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that and being honest and about everything. And I understand having family and having to have this passion that you love, that you want to pursue and stuff. And the place that it can take you, it's in a way, it's a you're going towards a direction, but you have to kind of get it. When you mentioned you have to get kind of into a dark place where it's almost just by yourself, which is very it feels very selfish sometimes during prep and everything. But no, I really definitely like understand the way you put that and everything. It's family is more important, but I think like bodybuilding as a sport, as a competition and stuff, it's just, you know, it's one thing. You know, it's like you came and you were like 2-time OCB champion, and you're so humble about it. You're just like, I was supposed to get it. I just love it, you know. But it's like the understanding, like that little side where like you learn a lot about yourself and what
Yes.
you're really committed to and stuff. But I think like bodybuilding has given a lot of people a platform to kind of like speak about discipline, fitness, and I think
Mhm.
you talk a lot about like having to be like this mentally fit person as well too, having a family, having this demanding job where you have to talk to people about their health and help them. And then you also have you coach as well too, right? You coach athletes to contest prep, through
Yes,
contest prep.
yes.
Like,
I have 3 athletes competing tomorrow, so absolutely, it's been nice.
okay, yeah. I mean that's a ton. Like you're not just like physically fit. You are, what I would say is just like you're mentally fit where you could actually like bounce to different things and put on these different hats. And us men, like we talk about, this show is a lot about like mindfulness and personal development, like stoicism and stuff like
Mhm.
that is like the heart of it, where you actually have to like be disciplined in your emotional intelligence when you do, like when you're done raging in the gym. Like when I get done with the gym, my testosterone level is high and I'm like ready to go kill it. Like, sometimes I have to be on a call where I have to be empathetic.
Right.
Sometimes I have my kids and stuff, and where I have to be like, that is a big part of, I think for me, is like the bodybuilding aspect and like the personal
Mhm.
development that I love so much. I think that's for me, is like that's why I started to stay in the natural side. And the thing is, like, I didn't really care about like titles or like when anything. I think it's just the pursuit of something for me is just what like drives me and like wakes me up.
Yeah, that purpose is very, very beneficial, because um, being having a goal, or just having, well, mainly having a routine. There's so much power in your routine.
Yeah.
Um, and I developed that by getting more into transcendental meditation and really studying, the teachings, or the meditations of Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. You
Yeah.
know, because a lot of people will think, because you engage in those type of personal development areas of life, at okay, well, you're untouchable, and when they see you in not such a great state, it's like, okay, well, that stuff's not working. But in all actuality, when you're meditating and when you're learning about stoicism, it's not going to make life easier.
Yeah.
It just makes the way you respond to things different. And I like to tell my kids, I say, when I'm studying this stuff and I'm sharing it with them, it's kind of like being in a boxing match. Life is going to constantly throw punches. And instead of you just standing there getting punched in the face, meditation, stoicism, it teaches you how to bob and weave a little bit better, because life is never going to stop punching. And you just have to learn to bob and weave, and not just get punched in the face, but every now and then, you'll get hit dead in the mouth, and
Punch in the face.
and you just have to get yourself together and re-up.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that's a great analogy. I mean, that stuff that you reflected on and just like shared, that I'm sure that helps a lot, like with like your kids and like, because prepping them for like when I grew up, I didn't think life was gonna be hard.
mhm.
No way, we're, like going through school and like, yeah, expect for like the hard shit. But I think when I grew up, I watched like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rocky, my dad, like just seeing strong role models, or just having like role models. Like Bruce Lee was one of my favorite. That's why I studied like a lot of philosophy. Is like he's
Mhm.
the one that inspired me to get into studying philosophy. And I think there's I guess a reemergence. I don't know, like Stoicism seems like it's like a good way that a lot of men are kind of like gearing towards, to kind of have like direction and how to like handle and manage their life. Did the Stoicism, like for you, or like like you said you did some transcendental meditation. Did that kind of start at the same time bodybuilding, or was that before you started bodybuilding?
No, I actually, during my preparation to obtain my doctorate in nursing practice, I did some studies on the effects of transcendental meditation on blood pressure. So I dug real deep into that and saw the benefits, from a healthcare standpoint. And as I went through that process, doing tons and tons of research, getting other people to engage in it, having, a control group and, different research methods, it just became something that I said, hey, this stuff is, really effective, and it's not just sitting there just thinking. You're actually getting a lot of benefits from it, and like I said, it helps move throughout life better. But just the health benefits of it was very intriguing to me. So that's where the transcendental meditation came in, and then it just as I started to study, this led into that, and you read something and you go into this article and you read 10 articles here, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, this is cool. So now I'm buying books, meditations. I think everybody should buy the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, because every time you read it, you get something else from it. Don't want to ruffle any feathers, but it's like reading the Bible. Every time you read it, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time. So I just think that is really great. And like you said, more people, well, we said men getting into it. I think that would be outstanding, because it's a wonderful tool to have in your box,
Yeah, I think Stoic or meditation is a great tool. I've been a practitioner of it. I knew of it because I grew up as my family, like, we're Buddhists, but the thing, like, we're not like, the way I practice it is not like how other people in the Cambodian community practice it. I actually like read and meditate, so similar to like what you did. And I started doing it because I had a ton of stuff going on in my life. Like, I was getting married, I was moving on my dad's house, changing careers, making more money, like having kids. I really just started so I could like reduce stress. And then as it aged over years and years, it actually became like a spiritual practice, which I guess it's a spiritual practice, a practice of like more mindfulness of like figuring out who you are and stuff. And then it's evolved into like so many different things. So like what you were explaining about how you read one book, you get into like what do they call it? Like the rabbit hole. And
right.
This way. And then you're starting to learn about this type of philosophy. Like, I've learned about almost like every philosophy, and I love them all. Right. I think there's a use for all of it. I think one of my favorite philosopher was Bruce Lee. He was the one that kind of started, like, any Asian man, like that's their idol, that's their hero growing up. But seeing the martial artist, the actor and everything, but deep down, like the books and stuff that he has, that is so much deeper than what you see, right? So I think as bodybuilders, I'm starting to, like, a lot of my friends are starting to find out, like, I'm not just a bodybuilder. I have like this level of like deepness and richness and stuff that like the art of bodybuilding can build. It's like the cultivation of like a person, I think manifestation of the act of manifestation, going to the gym and like manifesting this body and everything, which is like super, like when we talk about it, it's powerful,
Right. It is. And it's very healing, because I like to tell my story, and I don't always want to be so deep and dark and everything, but
it's okay. That's what the show's about.
And the transcendental meditation leading into Stoicism, I have to go a little bit deeper. So I did that in my my studies, but part of the reason for me really going down there is because I was married before, went through a divorce, and literally lost everything. So you go to school, you get your degrees, you go out and you're working, and you start this life. You get the house, you get the cars, you have everything, and shit doesn't work out. and you're back to zero, like worse than zero. You know, I slept in my Accurate MDX for about a month while I was waiting on getting approved for an apartment. And that was a real dark place, but I kept it together. I went to Jack King's gym and I trained early in the morning, took a shower, and I went to work at Aetna as a case manager. And I did that until I got this little bitty apartment. Didn't really know which direction to go in to get myself back on my feet. So it was just that process of going back to school at that time to get my master's in nursing administration, and every degree that I got required all of this research. So then that's when it was like, let's try to find something that's gonna help me not just pass this class and get this certification and this, but let's find something that's gonna really help. So throughout this process, that's another point where all the weight came in. You know, all this weight. You know, I'm working out, but I'm not eating right because I got all this other stuff going on. So then when I'm going back, getting my master's, getting my postmaster's, getting my doctorate, then I'm like, okay, learn about meditation, and it starts to help pull me out. So I'm bettering myself, you know, by, you know, career wise, but, you know, still needing that mental part. So then the meditation helps lower blood pressure, and it helps, you know, decrease stress and all this. So that's how it kind of morphed into, you know, getting into the meditation and the stoicism. So all of that process, having to start over, being kind of in this dark place, and that part where bodybuilding came in was very healing also, but then having to learn how to deal with it and getting scared all over when it started causing problems in my marriage, my current marriage. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. Right. So
some memories.
Right. So yeah. So then, you know, it all just kind of ties together, you know, and it's a journey. And a lot of times people just see, you know, the 2 year ends and you know, the good bike rides and all the stuff I'm doing with my family now. But brother, it's tough, you know, trying to keep all that together. So you have to have something, you know. So like the different philosophers that, like you were mentioning, like Bruce Lee and everything, finding out that there's so many different layers. All of that comes into a man's journey, you know, and you have to reach out and you have to go down those rabbit holes and learn more and you know, really try to center yourself and find that purpose. And once you get that purpose and that drive, then you feel unstoppable, unbreakable again. You know, after you've been broken, you learn from it. Yeah. And once you recenter yourself and get focused and like you said, finding that purpose, having something to do, knowing everything is intentional, that's when you start feeling your greatness. Because when you just wake up and you just follow the routine, I'm going to punch a clock, and you get off and you're doing really anything, but just having that focus and your routine is so powerful. So, you know, that's how it is,
powerful, man. That is powerful. I think sharing like that, and that's what I've been kind of doing, you know, on all my platform, is talking a little bit about that dark side that we all have. Some stare it in the face and kill that demon. Some don't. Some stay away from it, and it eats them up and kills them, or you know, eventually, like later, it's like a metaphor that you can't get. Like when I'm in that deep work, and I am currently in that same, you know, I was like in that same stage of your life when you went through the divorce and went to that dark place and found that gym, and you know, the meditation practice and stuff. That's kind of like where, you know, I'm out of it, you know, but I know I'm diligent enough where like I never want to ever be in that dark place again. You know, I talk about it, but that dark place is for me, I think it was a very powerful place. I stood there and figured it out, you know, until I got the direction for me when I went through my divorce, and I went through meditating, and then I started doing, because my pain, my emotional pain, because of like the depression was so hard. Like I even told this, like the only person that probably like knows this is like my dad. Is like the pain was so bad. Like I was on the floor, like almost feeling like I couldn't breathe and couldn't like die. But then it forced me to learn more advanced techniques in like meditation, and I think I started doing like yoga,
Yeah.
but
Sorry.
so it advanced, like the whole practice just advanced just because I had to. And if it didn't, like everything for me is like it was just it forces you to level up a little bit, and I had to level up. And
Yeah.
now that is a very powerful feeling too, using like where you could actually like mold your body and mold your mind at the same time, and feeling that you can control it. I
Mm-hmm.
think the message that you just shared is very one that's very powerful. That's where like the idea is to get that everybody struggle, even you, like two-time OCB competition, like doctorate, family, money, like all this, the success that you see and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't see, and underneath the whole iceberg, right? I mean, people see that I got all this energy and I'm happy and stuff, but I had to go through dark places to become this light. I think there's always like there's an opposite of like light and dark and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
philosophy like yin yang, Bruce Lee and stuff. Like I love it. I get so deep into it, and sometimes I could just talk on my Instagram. But now I created a podcast so I could talk with other people about it and stuff.
Yeah. And that's where my motto of we keep working. I always say that we keep working, and sometimes like when I'm working with my clients, and I'll say it initially, and it just seems like a motto or just something that that you put on your business card or whatever. But when you go through things and you're in those dark places, you will learn. Just like when we went through our divorces, and like you said, laying on the floor feeling like you can't breathe, um, you learn. You just keep getting up, and you just keep going. You keep working. Then one day you wake up and it doesn't hurt as bad, and then the next day you wake up and you don't even think about it, and then you have to make yourself say, "Wow, I didn't think about that for the last 3 days." So now you're like, "I didn't die. I thought I was going to die." So now you just have to keep going, and every day is not perfect, but I know exactly when you said you felt like you were going to die. I know what that feels like, but just keep getting up, keep going, and we keep working, because one day you just wake up and it doesn't hurt anymore, and you're like, I'm good, and
Yeah.
let's go.
I mean, let's be honest. It always hurts. Like it always hurts. A couple, like if you did it right, it always hurts. I'm always walking funny and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the honest, like the truth is like, but did you die? But did you die? No, you're still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
and
yeah,
that's where like I am in my phase of life. Like I didn't die, and I'm here. We got a message, we got something to do and stuff, and we get back to work. And the motto, like repetition, like
yeah,
mantras, incantations, things that you repeat in your head, and the language of how you say it and stuff. It's so important to like mental health. Right now, as you see, like with your practice and how you coach and everything, how is like, of course, like I'm in my own world and my own universe and everything. In your world, how is mental health affecting like, um, like your clients, people that you're around? Because the thing is, like we could get so niched into our own world where like you don't see the outside world. Sometimes I do
mm,
because I'm so in it. But like, how is like mental health, and how is your message coming across to other people? I mean, like you're walking like you could. As an example is like you're an example, right? So your influence, I would see, it's greater than somebody that would be like overweight and trying to tell somebody to eat a healthy lifestyle. Tell me, like, how is that like with like your network or like your career, how mental health is affecting people with like what's going on in the news?
Well, in the healthcare setting, you know, I get to see the other side. I always call it the other side because, you know, in the fitness industry, we see, you know, the
Yeah.
people that are active, the people
Different type
that,
of clientele. It's like in the fitness, like they want to get healthy, and then think that yours is might be a little bit different.
yeah, because like you said, we're posting positive things. We're always trying to give inspiration. But then when I go to work and when I'm out because I do some moonlight, you know, working at different
Yeah.
places, and mental health right now it's really it's not that little piece of healthcare that it used to be, because before it was kind of like you had a mental health department where people went
Yeah.
and it was kind of like on the low, like, okay, you don't want anyone to know. But now it's so tough because we are seeing more depression. We're seeing depression in much younger people, and we're seeing more and more health issues in younger people because we're not as active as a society anymore. Everything is designed to keep people conveniently in their homes. You know, we have the DoorDash, we have social media and everything. And, you know, like we can be on a meeting with people in 50 different states if we want to, and no one has to leave their home. You know, we don't have to walk in the airport and get some steps and you know, all that stuff the way we used to. So the mental health that I'm seeing, I'm just seeing a lot of just truly sad people just trying to figure it out. You know, when it comes to the health and wellness side, people are down because their weight and their health is declining, and they want to know what to do, but there's so many things fighting against them doing it. You know, you can say, as a provider, I can sit down with my clients and my patients and say, okay, we need to eat better, we need to lower carbs, we need to be more active. But when I'm talking to a young man that works in construction, he doesn't hear anything about going to the gym after he's been carrying center blocks all day.
Yeah.
And, you know, and even though he's really active, he's eating whatever he can get. And as he gets older, he's finding himself more and more unhealthy, and his emotional state is getting worse. And, you know, I see things like that a lot, and that weighs on me because, you know, you kind of think, well, I have all of these things going and I still make time for it. But that's truly not everyone's situation, you know? It's really a sad situation. I mean, depression, anxiety, more and more people are getting into therapy. They have like coaching groups. These behavioral health facilities are at capacity with young boys and girls that have attempted to harm themselves, and now they have to be under watchful eyes. So I'm just seeing both sides, and that's why I find so much benefit in the fitness industry, because we see all of the get up, let's go work out, hey, eat this, and you know, but there's a whole different side of the world that
Yes.
they're not even thinking about meal prep. They're not even thinking about a PR and everything. Their problem in their mind is like, my problems are so much bigger. They see, you know, the things that we post sometimes, and it really annoys them, and sometimes it actually makes them feel worse.
It does.
You
Yeah.
know? So we have to be careful with that, because some influencers really talk down to people, and that's the thing that I don't like. Some of the organizations are going in that way. Some of the top guys are not very positive. They're very negative. You know, they're just negative and they're talking down to people. And we have some really fragile situations. You know, one thing that you share could really put someone in a darker place than they already are. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing it a lot.
Yeah. Man, it's like a fine line. I think us as like fitness in or like people in the fitness industry and trying to inspire, it's like a fine line of like
Mhm.
you gotta like wake people up, and then also like not offend everyone, and unfortunately you can't, like, because I've came off at times where like I felt like I came off kind of negative and kind of like condescending as well too. But I think when I start to look back at that, I wasn't in a good place in myself as well too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of like when we're doing social media and like personal development and like trying to inspire. It's a way for us to kind of like help us heal and kind of contribute back, but like bridging that gap between like what we have and like the gym and the discipline and everything, and like sharing it to other people, to me is that that's like part of my mission. I've always been that guy that's always giving people like little tips, little coaching tips, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it be free or paid, it's just, it becomes like part of you and becomes like a good journey. But I think that the mental health space for me, like I'm always trying to like attack the biggest dragon or whatever it is. And to me, like when mental health issue became an issue for myself, it really hit home for me.
Mm-hmm.
Before I went through it, I was like, this shit is bullshit. Therapy. And that's the honest truth, because I felt like I always had it. I had
Yeah.
it together and stuff when I had a gym, but when I went through it myself, it gave me more empathetic feeling of like, yeah, I could see why people wouldn't be as motivated. I could see why people wouldn't feel like um, this type of way and stuff, because when you're going through it and you start to think about your bad feelings and how you're trying to fix it, and then you're trying to help other people too, and you do really become empathetic to people, or empathetic in a way where you deliver the message. And that's kind of like where I've grown a little bit since I started doing putting more content out and everything, is just being more empathetic and understanding of folks. I think when I was, the point I want to get across is like in I started as a when I started getting coached. I started getting coached when I was a CrossFit, and I went to like a CrossFit seminar, and there was like a breakdown of percentage of like people that can be helped, that want to be helped, and the ones that can help. I think
Mm-hmm.
that can help are the ones that have a duty to do it, that have the capacity, the mental bandwidth, the experience, and the to have got there. It's our duty to help spread and share this message.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about like 5%. They say it's about like 5% or 10%, and then there's probably like 30% or 25% of people that they know they need to improve their life. They need to be more disciplined. They need to eat healthier and incorporate this healthy lifestyle. And about like 25 to 30%, and that 10% is required to help teach them to get into that
Mm-hmm.
10% and increase it to 10% to 15% to 20%. And then there's the ones that are completely oblivious to like health and fitness. And I'm pretty sure you encounter that in your field, where you're like, whatever, health and fitness, therapy, coaching, personal training, like that doesn't make sense to them. And I think that's about, I don't know, and it might be just like an estimation. I think it might be like 60 or 50% of like the population.
Yeah, it's just the stages of change. When people, they're in a pre-contemplation stage, and they know they need to do things, but they just haven't made that jump. And so, what I just find beneficial is really working hard to meet people where they are. There's a lot of recommendations out there to get people on the right path, but you find out what someone can do and help them do it consistently. So, for example, if we're trying to help someone lose weight, you ask them what can they do, because we would love to say, okay, you need to train 2 days, take a day off, train 3 days, take a day off, but they might only have 3 solid days that they can commit to doing any type of exercise. Okay, so let's work with these 3 days, and let's go from there, or can I get you in the gym 2 days a week? And if they can get in 2 days a week, or even if it's not the gym, if I can just get you to take a walk for 30 minutes twice a week, then we can build on the recommendations of 5 times a week for 30 minutes, because that's what the recommendation is: 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity. But you got to start where they can consistently perform the duty. So that's what I do when people are at different stages, at the different stages of change. Just find out where they are, what they can do, and just really help them there. And like you said, be empathetic, but just you can turn them off if you try to push too much on them too fast.
Yeah.
So meeting people where they are is very, very important, and you just get more sustainable changes when you do that. Because if they say, okay, I lost 5 pounds doing this, so now I'm going to try this. And then they squeeze in that extra day, they squeeze in that extra 20 minutes. And then next thing you know, they have their momentum, they have their patterns, they have their routines. They've replaced some bad habits with better habits. And now we got them in the game and we can work with them. But also what I'm seeing is that a lot of people that have come to you, they want it done overnight. So that's where you meet a lot of issues too, because social media kind of makes people expectations.
Influencer just popped up like overnight. I was
Yeah, and it's not real.
tell people like, I mean, I'm kind of old school, but I was bodybuilding and lifting weights before like Instagram, and I was like, oh, look at all this. Like Instagram's like popular now, and it definitely has blown up for the fitness community. Which one, it's a good thing, and it's also, you have to take like with everything good, there's a little bit of bad too. There's the negative part of like fitness, the obsession, the vanity, the people think we're narcissistic, we're being selfish. Yes, it is part of that too. But I think at the end of all it, the root of everything, the intention of behind everything, if we're good coaches and good people at the same time, it's like we want people to be happy and healthy and be successful, right? I think that's kind of like philosophies align, and like trying to spread that message and help get that percentage from like 10% to 15 to 20%. I think that's extremely important. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was the one that inspired me. He's like the godfather of fitness, and to me, he's one that's always inspired me. And Julia, you inspire me. Your story inspires me of like how you came from that low spot to where you are now. And I'm 38 years old, and I'm still in the grind as well too, and trying to build back that life that that I had and that envision and stuff. And bodybuilding it's a discipline for me. I don't know if it'll be forever and everything, and I think the same for you. But can you tell us a little bit about like your future plans and how you see the next like 5 years, 10 years for Dr. Tracy Norwood?
Oh yeah, so most definitely will be in the gym for as long as I can physically be in the gym. Really focusing on athletes, really focusing on growing classic wellness and fitness, helping people do things without dependence on medication, helping athletes remain natural, teaching the dangers of enhancements that can just lead to negative outcomes. But at the end of the day, people are going to most definitely make their own decisions. But what I want to do, people that come in contact with me or people that work with me, I want to just kind of share that message. Let's do the things that we can do to fulfill our natural potential before even considering anything. So most definitely growing my wellness and fitness business, and just continue to learn and be more effective in my career. But overall, the top thing is just making sure that the family's good and really building with my wife, because it's not always easy, so really focusing on growth, family growth, and just making sure that I'm there for the kids and support. So family and growing my business is like top tier for me over the next 5-10 years, and hopefully, position them to not go down some of the the dark roads that I did, and just be there for them when they do have their experiences. But I'm in that point where I just want to do simple things, but just have fun doing simple things. I'm not really trying to. I would love winning another world title, but those things are not like at the peak anymore. It's about helping people now. When I went to Arizona State, they said enter to learn, depart to serve. So I'm in the game, eventually I'm just gonna have to stand on the side and be the coach full time. But it's just hard. It's just hard coming off the field, so to speak, because I don't want to be out of the game yet, So I'm pushing myself, but I know Father Time is undefeated. So helping others as much as I can, enhance their lives naturally, and just being the best father and husband that I can be. That's what I want to do.
Nice. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I think that mindset, that cultivation that you developed, right? It's like no doubt that you will be successful. Like hearing that conviction out of your voice and stuff. And then for me, it's like the same. It's continue to grow, continue to. I'm a creative person, so I don't like to tell people exactly what's gonna happen because I'm always like meditating and then thinking myself. But I like to keep people excited about the future, and that's what makes me, excited is the future that holds for everyone, and helping people create visions and stuff. I think you're at that part where you're contributing, inspiring, and you're taking a step back of like more of a service leader in that field. And I'm happy that we could support and share your message with this podcast as well too. So part of like what we do at Flow In Flow Out and like my personal development community is just bring messages like this, share it with your clientele, share it with your network, and raising awareness about like mental health and showing that bodybuilding and fitness is great, it's good, it's beneficial, it's hard, but
absolutely
hard, but there's a ton of benefits in like establishing who you are as a person in the personal development field. So I think this conversation was extremely, I would say, it's enlightening.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad to support you, and we'll definitely have to have you back on to the Flow In Flow Out podcast. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? You wanted to put out into the universe and manifest anything before we hop off the show? And I do want you to be a regular guest of the show. So I have a handful of people that I have on the show that I want to continue to update and continue to grow, because I know you're going to have more insights, you're going to have more experiences and stuff too. So share that. Any last thoughts before we close out the episode?
The big thing is never forget who you are because of what you do. You mentioned earlier, you said, I won a couple titles and I'm real humble and low key about it. And like sometimes when I'm talking, I feel like, man, I'm not sounding as groomed as other healthcare professionals and everything. But, it's being who you are, helping people, and not getting to a place where, you get pissed off if someone doesn't use your title. If they don't say doctor, you're upset. Or if someone doesn't run your resume every time you walk into a room, just don't forget who you are because of what you have done and what you do. Be that person that's always growing, and be that person who knows what it's like to win and lose. And never forget that, because when you get to the point where you're treating people different just because of what you achieve, then you're missing people. You're missing the opportunity to potentially change someone's life, and that's really powerful. So I just want to say, just stay approachable. I mean, you can be proud of what you do, and don't be so humble that you disappear, but stay approachable and always try to make yourself a resource, because like I said, you never know when you may miss the opportunity to change someone's life, or just save someone's life, because someone could be right on the edge and they could come to you for comfort and you give them pain, and that's the only thing they remember you by,
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's some wisdom you just dropped right there, man. That's wisdom and experience that you just dropped on the show.
thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. I think we're at the like to keep it at the hour mark. So, but I'll put the podcast out, and I'll put your everybody, Dr. Taz. Is Instagram the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'll put Dr. Taz's or Taz Gainz on the podcast show notes and how to catch up with him and everything. But other than that, that is today's episode. I think it was awesome, man. Fantastic. And glad to have you on here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of a outro, but I mean, I learned a lot from this episode, this podcast myself. And sometimes a lot of the stuff that we do, it is selfish, but you have to think in a way where it benefits other people as well too.
Yeah.
So having this conversation, talking to you and picking your brain about your journey and your inspiring story and everything, hopefully other people could resonate as well too. It's like we're not untouchable. Nobody's untouchable. Nobody is untouchable. I got 2-time
Right.
OCD champion here and stuff, and like me, I want to make sure that I'm approachable as well too. And that message, that one that you just last shared, because sometimes I feel like I'm this. You get in this like state of like I'm the coach and everybody has to listen to me.
Right. Right.
We're all at the end of the day, a coach is just trying to help, right? A teacher,
Right. Just help.
Just trying to help. A doctor's trying to help. A salesperson is trying to help. I think we all come down to that same message, that we're all trying to help and feel good about ourselves too, right? Helping other people raise their mental health or their well-being, and that return helps us as well too. So
Right.
beautiful message. I hope you have a beautiful day. And that's it for the podcast, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And then we'll be on once a week. And other than that, that's it for the show. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, brother.